Alex Wolff, you're in the new film Patriots Day, which is opening soon. It recreates the staggering events of the Boston Marathon bombing. You play one of the, and I'm going to mangle this name, Tarnazov brothers.
Zokar Tsarnaev.
Yes, thank you. I told you I was going to mangle
Tsarnaev.
it. Tell us a little bit about getting into the headspace of playing a character like that.
Yeah, well, it was not. Ooh, it says there's an error loading. Something's not working.
You seem to be doing fine to me.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
just no, wait. Says there was an error loading up. All right, sorry. Yeah, no, it was definitely not a super fun experience becoming that character because I had to get in a pretty dark headspace and go to some pretty dark places inside myself. But I was guided by Pete Berg, who was just a really true actor's director, and he helped me through the entire thing. And there were parts of this character who, unfortunately, I sort of had to force myself to understand. And I could never hurt anybody. I'm just a really, I'm a pacifist. So that's a foreign concept to me, ever being able to hurt anybody. And, you have to be in a truly sociopathic state to do something like that. So, when I first got the script, I was like, how am I going to do this? So I really had to go into what his personality was and what his life was outside of the bombing in order to really zero in on who he was as a guy, and then put myself in the situation of the bombing. As in, so the first thing I had to do was abandon American TV footage of the bombing because it was too upsetting for me to watch, because I didn't feel I could ever really play a guy who I felt so separated from. And when I stuck to sort of the primary sources of looking at his Twitter and seeing how he was with his friends, how he was a wannabe hip hop kid. He thought he was like Eminem, he kind of talked like that. And he was an immigrant who was desperately obsessed with pleasing his older brother. And so when I focused on those aspects, I could slip into it and then take it from there. But those had to be the first things I did, the first things, because it was just, there was just no other way to connect with such a, horrible human being.
So it was difficult finding empathy with him, I guess.
Right.
What then? I mean, how do you, if you have a hard time finding empathy with a character as an actor, is it difficult to create empathy for the audience?
Well, I think that the goal was never to create empathy for him. I think we're not trying to explain why these brothers did it. We're obviously not trying to justify it. But what we are trying to do is give you an insight to what kind of people these are. And I like what Pete said, that Jahar could have been a guy you saw at Starbucks. He could be your friend you grew up with, your weed dealer that you grew up with. And that was what was really interesting to both of us, was that he was not the prototypical terrorist that is in people's minds of what a terrorist is. And I think it's interesting to get that out there. He was not a real Muslim. It's this attack, it could be argued, was really not even focused on religion. It was more like a hate crime. It was more I consider Jahar an angry little boy throwing a tantrum. And that's how I saw him. And everything makes a little more sense if you see it through that light, or makes sense of how someone like this could do that. So that was really what it is. I wasn't concerned with making him empathetic. What I was concerned with doing was making a three-dimensional character. It's like, you can be terrified of spiders, but if you draw a spider and a sketch of a spider, it's not really going to scare you. But if you build a three-dimensional thing with maybe some colors that are kind of beautiful and some, a three-dimensional real object of a spider, it's going to scare the shit out of you. So I think it's just about that. You need to make them three-dimensional.
Mm-hmm. Now, you share the bulk of your scenes with the actor who plays your brother. Can you talk a little bit about what that collaboration was like between the two of you?
Yeah, Tamo's the greatest guy in the world, and he's the sweetest, most humble guy I've ever met. And we knew that we had to become basically brothers in order to do this, and we did. And that makes people feel uneasy, truthfully. Like Mark Wahlberg, who's a sweetheart, has a lot of trouble dealing with how dealing with the fact that we're really so close in real life. So we try and not stay together all the time when we're around a lot of other people, but we were inseparable during this movie. I think we slept in the same bed some nights. We really were like brothers, and so I think that's the true reason it really works. Our dynamic in the movie is because we did it in real life, and I had a totally kind of different voice that I did in the movie, and I kind of didn't break that voice for 3 months because I was too afraid of losing it, and because he had a different way of saying S's than me. So my performance is all thanks to Pete Berg and to Tamo, who just guided me through the whole thing.
We'll talk a little bit more about Peter Berg. I mean, he's an exceptional filmmaker. He's also an actor himself. So what does he give you that helps in your performance?
Well, one thing was the freedom of improvisation. And that doesn't just mean changing all the dialogue up, but improvisation in action, in the way I talked, in if I wanted to pick up my niece's shoe in it and do the scene holding her shoe, and maybe that provokes me to say certain things. He gave you the freedom to do that. And so I thought that was really, really kind of a daring, cool thing to do. And also he would give us new things to say and would keep us on our toes and would shout things out. And I trusted him to go in any direction he pointed me towards. I wanted to give him 150% in that direction. And I just think he has so much adrenaline and testosterone, and he's just such a smart, brilliant, inspiring guy. And I'm not just blowing smoke, because not every director's like that, and I'm not going to say that about every director, but he's definitely the best director I've worked with, and he's a true actor's director, which is crazy because he directs these movies that are so technically, these technical triumphs. So it's crazy. It's amazing. I'm so honored to have worked with him. I want to do 100 more movies with him. He better cast me in other movies.
Certainly. You're right. The movie is a real technical achievement. It's a challenging film to do technically. As an actor, I mean, doing these, there's this big set piece in the middle of it, obviously, with the bombing, and then another one at Watertown, and there's all these moving parts. Can you talk about the challenges of that as an actor?
Yeah, well, it wasn't really a challenge. He made it so real and it was so authentic. We were surrounded by such a good crew and actors. It really wasn't a challenge. The challenge was the emotional part of it, was looking a young guy in the face and shooting him in the face. That is indescribable pain for a person or for a person like me, who is an empathetic, sensitive guy. Obviously, I'm an actor, and it really messed with me. I had nightmares through the whole process of it. But no, I didn't feel 1 second like I wasn't immersed in the world. I mean, when I was doing that marathon, they had a bunch of Boston people, and they were gasping when I was walking through the crowd. I felt like I was going to throw up. It was so realistic. So it did not matter that it was a set piece or whatever. It was more real and realistic than I think you could ever. And I've done movies where it's so technical. Of course, there's all these holdups and all these crazy crane shots, but he doesn't even do blocking. He doesn't do blocking. It's all about where you want to walk and where you want to do. It's beautiful. I wish that everybody made movies like that. And you can see his performances are so immediate and so great. That's why everyone's so good in all of his movies, especially this movie. I think everyone is really amazing.
Right, it is a really great ensemble cast. Coming down every day from something like that, I mean, all the horrible things you have to do. Are you able to do that? Are you able to come down from it every day and get back to being the pleasant person that you come across right now as, or do you stay in that mindset?
I mean, I'm sort of pleasant. Who knows? Who knows how?
Just talking to you from the computer.
No, it was really hard. I mean, I feel like, I see a lot of interviews where people are asked questions and I don't know, lie because it sounds better or something. But no, it wasn't. It wasn't that like it was hard coming down from it. The only thing that I got to do is I got to I don't know. I mean, I was so in the world, it was almost like I didn't feel the guilt sometimes that I should have in moments, which was crazy. You know, I got so into the person. There were times where I even caught myself feeling like this is all justified and blah blah blah, you know, because I got so in the and then I would go home and it would all just occur to me and I would just feel sick to my stomach where I would just want to throw up. And yeah, it was a difficult time, but you know, it's making a movie and Pete made it still, you know, fun and a really pleasant set to be on and Mark Wahlberg made it amazing. You know, we're not building houses, we're not doing, you know, that kind of hard work, but it was work that emotionally was tough for me. It really was.
Well, it's really a story about heroism in the face of
I have my Che Guevara
adversity.
sticker here and I regret it. I'm gonna move my
Oh,
computer. It's just by some street artist in New York. I'm not a supporter of Che Guevara. I just like
oh, don't worry about it.
but I just noticed that that was there and yeah, I'm just gonna move my computer screen. But there's John Lennon there. You know,
There you
John.
go. Yeah. Um, anyway, ultimately, this movie is really a story about heroism in the face of horrible adversity. What do you hope people take away from this movie when they see it when it opens up?
You know, I hope people number one take away from it that I love the idea that that love beats hate. I love that. I think that's just a great lesson that love always wins, and I think it does. It just wins. And like someone says at the end of the movie, you know, those brothers came hoping to take a lot, and they did take a lot. They did. They took. You know, they ruined some of those people's lives and ended some of the people's lives, but they didn't take as much as they intended. They really didn't. That it was kind of it was kind of a failure, that operation. Their operation was a bit of a failure. And I hope from the movie you can take the love to, you know, love beats hate. And I hope you can take from us that these were two really cowardly guys who failed. And I think and they lost. They just did. And and I think I hope that's what you take from our storyline, and then I hope from the overall movie that love always beats hate, and heroism is always stronger than hate. It just hate can only take you so far, and I think that's a really cool thing to have right now, especially in the sort of divided America.
Absolutely. Well, it's a great movie, and congratulations on it. Alex Wolff, thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Have a great day.
See you, man. Bye.